friend. I'm so glad you're here. Ideas are wonderful things. They're like tiny seeds. If we take care of them, they'll grow into forests. Today, we meet a very big idea, one that changed how people thought about life itself. A long time ago, in the 1800s, a naturalist named Charles Darwin traveled around the world. He studied finches, tortoises, plants, and even barnacles, all sorts of living things. And in 1859, he wrote on the origin of the species, where he described a simple but powerful idea that he called natural selection. Natural selection is about being the strongest, nor the fastest, nor the biggest. It's about the creatures that simply fit in their surroundings the best. Those are the ones who are more likely to pass on their traits. Do you guys hear that?
Mr. Brewer, my dorsal filler nubbins behind my eyeballs expanded by exactly 3.7 millimeters last night on Snaggle Pag. Now usually means I'm adapting to a new environment, or that the learning juices are flowing.
That's wonderful, Snorkelthumb. Oh, Darwin would say changes like that are adaptations. But Darwin didn't just like to think about animals. He thought about meaning, too. And at the end of Origin, he wrote that there is grandeur in this view of life, with powerful impressions on matter by the Creator. Darwin didn't reject fate. He wrestled with it. And he had a dear friend wrestling it right beside him, an American botanist named Asa Gray. Gray believed in evolution could be part of God's plan. In 1860, he responded to critics. He wrote, "The theory of natural selection is not consistent with the idea of design. The laws are the creators. Their operation is his method." And again, that same year, "I see no occasion to assume that Darwin's views are atheistical." Gray defended an idea now called theistic evolution, the belief that God could work through the natural laws. He even pushed back against the theologian Charles Hodge, who famously declared Darwinism is atheism. Gray said, "No, Darwin simply studied how life changes, not why it exists. Science asks one kind of question, faith asks another." But you see, not everyone read Darwin the same way Gray did. Some stretched Darwin's biological ideas beyond biology. One of them was Herbert Spencer, a philosopher who wrote about before and alongside Darwin. Spencer coined the phrase survival of the fittest. Darwin later borrowed it. But Spencer meant something different. Spencer believed evolution wasn't just about animals. It was about everything: development, psychology, economics, even morality. In his 1864 Principles of Biology, Spencer argued that nature always chooses the cheapest, most efficient path, not just embryos, but everything. To him, efficiency meant superiority. Waste meant inferiority. That idea that evolution rewards efficient, the strong, and successful became one of the roots of what we now know as social Darwinism. As this idea of social Darwinism developed, some people would begin to say the rich succeed because they are fit. The poor would struggle because they are unfit. And helping the vulnerable interferes with nature. Now, these were ideas that we were previously introduced to, but none of this was Darwin. None of it was Asa Gray. It was misreading, an extension of evolutionary language into pieces that didn't really belong. Modern philosopher
Diane Paul
explains it well. Social Darwinism is any social use of Darwin's theory to use to justify inequality, a scientific theory taken far outside its scientific purpose. He adds, they use a purely scientific theory for a completely unscientific purpose. Now,
Diane Paul
work is very powerful. Now, and historian Thomas C. Leonard would discover something remarkable right alongside it. Social Darwinism had always been an epithet, reserved for ideas which the writer disagreed. And the use of social Darwinism to describe Spencer and Sumner was almost unknown until Hofstadter's 1944 book. This means that the term didn't exist until 1944. Um, so its later labels are a way that historians tried to accurately explain a confusing tangle of ideas about evolution, economy, morality, and society.
So people weren't calling themselves social Darwinists. They didn't even know that word.
Mm-mm-mm. Exactly. It's a nickname that was given to them afterward, like naming a storm after it's already passed. Ideas evolve, friend. Just like living things, they grow, they shift, and sometimes they get misused. So let's go look at a little journey that we're about to take together. Hello, friends. I'm going to give us a little episode overview before we begin our journey here today. In episode 1, we're going to explain how Darwin's scientific theory shows how thinkers like Gray and Herbert Spencer begin stretching it to places Darwin never intended. It's setting the stage how these misunderstandings would emerge. Episode 2 is going to show how industrialists and philosophers used evolutionary language to justify inequality, competition, and social hierarchy during the Gilded Age. Episode 3 covers how distorted heredity, science-fueled eugenics, immigration restriction, and forced sterilization, culminating in policies like the Immigration Act of 1924 and Buck v. Bell of 1927. Episode 4 examines how evolutionary rhetoric shaped American imperialism and war, especially through Theodore Roosevelt's vision of national strength and global competition. Episode 5 examines how new scientific evidence, New Deal reforms, World War II, and the 1950 UNESCO statement led to discrediting social Darwinism as racial science. Any good argument has a good thesis, and this will be our thesis moving forward in the series. Social Darwinism was not a straightforward extension of Darwin's biological theory. Instead, it was a diverse mix of cultural, political, and scientific ideas. These ideas changed evolutionary language into reason for hierarchy, exclusion, and government power from the Gilded Age to the mid-20th century. By tracing its evolution from Spencer's moralized laissez-faire philosophy and Sumner's individualist sociology, to racial science of Grant and Lachlan, to progressive and imperial applications, and finally to rejection by New Deal reform, World War II, and UNESCO's post-1945 scientific declarations. This series shows how societies often use scientific language to justify inequality. By following evolution from Darwin's science through its misunderstanding and misuses, we can learn that ideas shape our world, and that it is our responsibility to guide them with kindness, curiosity, and care.
So ideas evolve? And we have to treat them gently?
That's exactly right. Well, until next time, remember, every living thing, every idea grows best when treated with care. Thank you.